What separates us as human beings from any other life form on Earth? It's the ability to think and think critically. Other life forms aren't able to make these rational decisions like us. They aren't able to question things, and that's what really truly what separates us. We were always told growing up, we must think critically to answer certain math questions or English questions. We always had these type of questions, critical thinking questions. We never really had a true grasp of what critical thinking actually meant at the time. And a lot of us still don't, and that's why I'm here to talk about a little bit more in depth about what critical thinking stands for. Dictionary.com's definition of critical thinking states, critical thinking is disciplined thinking that is clear, rational, and open-minded. So today, we're going to talk about an intro to Socrates and what his early contributions were to critical thinking, argumentation, and fallacious argumentation. Starting off, Socrates was a Greek philosopher credited as a founder of Western philosophy. He was one of the main guys that really made his footmark in what critical thinking stands for today, and was at the time. There was really anything like that. His concept is the teacher does not provide answers, but is instead in charge of questioning. So instead of telling the students, he asks the students, sparking psychological questioning in their brain. And it's so helpful, really, when you think about it in the long term, because questioning is one of the most powerful things that we have. And it really does help if you do some more research on it. His main points were to explore, probe, investigate, stimulate, and engage. And that's all what these questionings did with his students. And it really showed when he did experiments and certain other things back then. He had an emphasis on reasoning questions, such as, what did you mean by that? Or, why do you assume that? Everything really had a question. As a lot of philosophy, there's a lot of stereotypical what philosophy stands for, how philosophy is, it's just questioning this, questioning that. But if you really think about it, it really does help. So this helps you move on to argumentation. Argumentation is a critical part of critical thinking as to identify, construct, and evaluate arguments. Arguments are one of the most hard things to really do because everyone just gets too emotional nowadays and you really forget about what the basis of argumentation actually is. Starting off, there's three main points that make up the whole. You got your proposition, which is a true-false statement, which either you're supporting or you're not against, or you're not for. Your premise is sentences that support your conclusion. Tying it all together, your conclusion is your main point about the argument. If you can pull all these together and really build your argument, add your facts, add what you stand for, and really be able to talk about this in a calm manner, your argument's going to be very valid, and your argument's really going to help you when you're arguing with someone, because more times than not, they're really not going to be able to back things up like you can if you follow these steps, and really they're not going to be able to pull things together, and you're to make yourself sound so much smarter that even if you're not as smart as what you're saying, it's going to make you sound a lot much better when you follow these steps when you're arguing. Moving on. Fallacious argumentation is basically what you don't want to do. It's an error in argumentation, and you really don't want to do these when you're arguing. It's basically steering away from what argumentation stands for. Some of these examples include an ad hominem. They all have these kind of weird names, but there's so many of them, and this is just a couple of them. An ad hominem is an attack on someone's character. For example, I'm fighting with you about something on Twitter. Usually it's on social media. Someone kind of just goes at someone's character while they're fighting about, let's say, sports. Fighting about sports, someone looks at my profile picture and says, you know what, this guy looks like this. So his argument doesn't make sense. So that's what that means. And you know what, it's happened to everyone. A lot of people have probably been through these types of experiences. And it just really doesn't make sense. And it makes you kind of look foolish when you're arguing something. And it really takes away from what you stand for. And it's really not worth the person that's really arguing's time. Moving on to ad nauseum. Ad nauseum is something that will become true if repeated certain enough. For example, I'm fighting with you about the brand of mashed potatoes that I like. You keep saying, you know what, this potatoes are better. This potato's better. This potato's better. And I'm saying, no, this one has this, which is unhealthy. And I'm saying mine has this, which is healthy. And you just keep saying it's better with the hopes of me saying, you know what, this guy really keeps saying it. It must be true. That doesn't really happen in an argument, especially in a real good argument. And for the most part, there's really no point to that. So to wrap things up in a good manner, we talked about Socrates and his contributions, argumentation, fallacious argumentation, and all those together make up what critical thinking stands for. All of this made up and still makes up critical thinking for what it is today and setting a good handle on what can be helpful. So really, if you pull all this together, it's really hard for you to be wrong for the most part. You back your things up and you'll be fine. I hope you learned about something. I really hope you take these when you're arguing next time and you really think about what you're doing, and it really will help you.